Now, I absolutely enjoyed myself Deus Ex Human Revolution, and with the sequel, I still thoroughly enjoyed myself. The game series has set up an absolutely beautiful world with a mix of cyberpunk and a Blade Runner type of feel to the game. And this has been built around a world that was established in the cult classic games that came out in the early 2000s. Deus Ex Mankind Divided picks up 2 years after the events of what had transpired in Human Revolution. The first game was about the introduction of the augmentations and how people reacted to it, but now with Mankind Divided, the augmented are now being violently oppressed after what had happened in Human Revolution, where all the augmented became extremely violent towards people. Well, now because of those events, humanity now sees the augmented people as a threat and not to be trusted. So pretty much anyone who's augmented is being thrown into camps and designated zones where they are still being mistreated while having their rights stamped on. So once again, you are thrown into the shoes of Adam Jensen, who is now part of a joint task force called TF-29, hidden underneath the city of Prague to prevent anything like what happened in the first game from ever happening again. Now, throughout the story, you can choose to abide by a non-existent moral compass, which means even if you kill the police of Prague, there is absolutely no ramifications to the story whatsoever. As pretty much everyone is an asshole to you in the game, so it has absolutely no effect on the story anyway. Maybe it has something to do with you being an augmented, which is probably most likely. Jensen's main task is to find out who was responsible for a bombing, which in turn leads him into discovering a much more sinister plot involving a group that aims to bend humanity's will and shape the world to their own desires. The setting of the game is mainly in Prague, which is the main hub for the game. Every now and then you go to a different place, and that changes the events that are happening in the main hub. The game is absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely a big improvement from the last game, as it was mainly only had one color, and that was yellow, so it was kind of off-putting in the first game because you just saw yellow every single time, and it was really off-putting. The gameplay is so good, and the reason why it's receiving such high praise is because there are different legitimate ways to approach each mission, with some great stealth mechanics. You can be tech heavy, like through hacking, or you can be lethal or non-lethal. That means you can even beat the boss without killing him, which you weren't able to do in the first game. But that means the final boss can take up to 10 seconds, and you don't even have to find him. Hilariously, you can find a kill switch just hiding under a random desk, and you can just beat him through dialogue, which is kind of makes the ending kind of shit, which it kind of is. The last boss fight's kind of underwhelming because you can just beat him like that. Augmentation skills are back, but this time you have new abilities that are unlocked, and if you use them, they can overheat. That would force you to disable one of your augmentations to cool your system down. Now that's a pretty cool mechanic added to the game. It's unfortunate it doesn't last long, as you could just do a side quest so that your system won't overheat or overload when you use the augmentations, because it would have been a cool way to figure out which augmentations you want to use and what augmentations you don't want to use, so you can just change the game style on the fly. But that doesn't happen because it just really doesn't last long. You just do a side quest, and yeah, there you go. You can use all your augmentations now, which is kind of cheap, really. The characters do seem to be a bit lackluster and stale, but that doesn't mean that they can't have some interesting bits to their own personal stories. Some of these characters are damaged or even scars to show what they have been through during the incident that took place 2 years ago, and these scars and these damages show onto your character Adam Jensen because they take all their anger and frustration out of you, and they absolutely show you their dislike for you sometimes, or untrustworthiness of you, which goes a long way to try and prove that you're not augmented people aren't that bad, really. They're not. Sometimes they're good. They can be good. That wasn't the incident wasn't their fault. We had no control of what we were doing. And sometimes you can get this through to some of the characters, but sometimes they keep on rebuffing you because they just see augmented people as untrustworthy. Now, there is a mode called Breach, where players jack in and complete objectives and various challenges to have a better score. This mode is an okay addition to the game, but it just kind of feels out of place and doesn't belong, because it just has you competing for a score, so you can be placed on the scoreboard so that it can be seen around the world, and it feels off-putting, really. Mankind Divided has a lot of hits and misses, but the hits outweigh the misses. A lot of the things I didn't like about Human Revolution were fixed, and some of the things I didn't like were not fixed, and that kind of annoys me. So I'm hoping some of these things would be fixed, and I like the boss fights, because the boss fights were lackluster once again. So my final verdict for Deus Ex Mankind Divided is an 8 out of 10. It's a good game, still a lot of things have to be fixed. Maybe by not having the game end just like that, and so you set up a sequel in such a half-assed way. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, share, maybe even subscribe if you enjoyed my channel and my videos. But until next time everyone, I'm Cartander, and I'll catch you later.